Chris Evans will appear in Avengers Doomsday. The Hollywood Reporter confirmed the story late on December 9th. Evans is best known for his role as Steve Rogers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and retired from the role in 2019, or so we thought, following the climactic Avengers Endgame. Doomsday will also feature Evans' co-star Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, though Evans' role is not yet specified. Recently, Evans reprised his first Marvel role of Johnny Storm in this year's billion-dollar blockbuster Deadpool and Wolverine. Is the reaction to this news as hot as Johnny or as cold as Steve on Ice?
You know, it could be both. It's an ice-fire kind of situation because we've already gotten a giant reveal of RDJ. Holy crap, he's coming back. Dr. Doom, new mask, same task, whatever. But now they're like, but also Steve Rogers. Or, but also Chris Evans. Because they didn't say Steve Rogers. So it could be, it kind of feels like, let's pile on just a little bit more. A little teaspoon on top extra. It's like, okay, sure, yeah, everybody's coming back. Fine. But then it could also be something crazy where he's a new version of Johnny Storm in a different version of the Fantastic Four that this Doomsday destroys. I would love to see that.
Ooh.
Like he obliterates the Fantastic Four that includes Chris Evans, Johnny Storm.
I like that, except we've already seen
Johnny Storm get ripped apart.
We've already seen Johnny Storm get ripped apart and another Fantastic Four of John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic get murked like immediately when he stepped on screen. So I feel like that might be, I don't know, maybe that's the whole thing though. Maybe Doom is going from universe to universe, like killing all four of them. I don't know.
That could give us the God Emperor Doom that we all deserve.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things here, and I do think that the most likely thing is that it's going to be Steve Rogers. That just makes the most sense. But as you said, like RDJ is Doom. The possibilities are endless. Chris Evans could be Apocalypse. I don't know. Just completely out of nowhere, make him some other villain. Like I have no idea. But they could do anything they want. But even if they do him as Steve Rogers, they have options there too. There's the alternate reality version of Steve Rogers. There's Steve Rogers as Captain America, like some sort of look back. Like we've talked about how maybe this Doom is a version of Tony. So if that's the case, could it be like they actually go back and tell the story of their universe and where it diverged, like where RDJ's character becomes that nexus, where the Nexus event happens, what if they go back to like Ultron and we're watching Steve and Tony do their thing and then something happens that diverges the universes?
Well, you remember the vision that Tony Stark had where everybody was laying at his feet. Like everybody was dead in Age of Ultron.
That's true. Ooh,
we could have that exact sort of thing happen. And that's the moment that he turns and puts on the Doom mask.
Isn't it Cap that says to him, like, you could have saved us.
You could have saved us.
Could have done more or something. Yeah.
Or what about this? Now we're just theorizing. I told you this was going to be a very MCU cast multiverse news with me and Jeff talking about Chris Evans' return. But like, what about? So we do get a version of Tony. His same task. He wants to put a suit of armor around the world. If that's his task in this version, if that's what they mean, and he's trying to put that suit of armor on, and he diverts and does something different, and in his goal of doing that, he's killing other universe versions, and then he fulfills that exact dream by killing his friends, but from the multiverse. So like we see that scene again, but he actually has fulfilled that fear, but it's actually by his hands. It's not just like he failed to protect them. He actually did it. He murdered them all.
He brought that on himself.
Yeah.
That's why they're all laying at his feet with nobody, there was no bad guy. Right, there was no like villain laying on the steps of Sanctuary. Like, it's just him.
Yeah, it's just him as the last person standing.
That could be real good.
There's also the option that he might be Old Man Cap still. Like that just might be the version we get, and I think that's very, very possible.
I mean, it could also just be like he's appearing. for 5 minutes, like
Sure,
he's in a
absolutely.
scene and you
Could
never
be.
see him again.
I want to start by saying this news is just huge. Like, I can't think, the last time a headline made me do like a full 180 was the RDJ announcement back in July at Comic-Con. And I find it fascinating how inherently tied these announcements are. And while this headline is so, earth-shattering, mind-bending, I think it loses a little bit of impact because we already had such a big splash when RDJ came back. So
Absolutely.
I think to both of your points, it begs a lot of questions. Like, I do think, as opposed to another character, I kind of see him coming back as some version of Steve Rogers, be that, Captain Hydra, Old Man Cap, what have you. There are so many variants out there that we could pull from, but I have to look at the behind the scenes stuff as well. Like, how long has this been in the process? How long have they been having these conversations with Chris Evans? Because for the longest time, it did not seem like he was interested in coming back at all. But then, he came back for Deadpool and Wolverine. They let him have a comedic role that didn't require all that much from him. And outside of that, he has not had a lot of success. He had Knives Out, but that was the better part of 3-4 years ago now. And then Red One has not done well at all. That's been a big, I wouldn't say disaster, but it's kind of like falling flat on its face, for lack of a better term there. So
to give Jay Sisson credit in our chat, when this news came across the line, Jay Sisson said, "Well, looks like Chris Evans saw that Red One box office returns and immediately called Kevin Feige." It's like, is there room for me in this Doomsday thing?
Yeah. But I do have to just keep coming back to the RDJ announcement, because the emotions that I'm experiencing, I'm taken right back to that place as well. And I remember when we got that announcement, it was I was so excited, and it was almost like nervous energy. I didn't really know where to put it. And with RDJ, I think my initial reaction was a little more on the negative side, and I had to slowly talk myself and warm up to the idea. With Cap, it's a little bit the opposite. It's like, of course I want Cap and Doomsday. This seems obvious. We got RDJ back. We want Chris Evans to return. But then I start to think about, unless it's like what you said, Jeff, where he's only appearing in one scene or has a really minimal role, what does this mean for our new Avengers? What does this mean for Sam Wilson's version of Cap? What does this mean for Shang-Chi, who we've been begging to get more of? And I thought, Doomsday would be his place to shine, given the fact that Destin Daniel Cretton was previously attached to the Kang Dynasty version of this all. So as much as I want to have Cap back, and I will be over the moon excited when he makes his appearance on screen, if it is at the cost of the development of these other characters and these new Avengers, in the big scheme of things, I think that's a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, if we can't let go of the past, we can't ever move on. We can't move to the new crew. And it's kind of up to us as the fans. We have to ask for not just bring back, whatever they did in the past. Give us new good stories, give us new better stories featuring these characters. Cause Shang-Chi was really good. And despite there being a big CGI fight that Matt didn't like at the end, ultimately I felt the film was pretty solid, start to finish. So give me more of that world, give me more of that story, instead of retelling the same old or putting different new spins on the same old, because that's a DC thing.
Well, and I said best case scenario back when we heard about Doom. I didn't like it. As much as I'm excited because it's so big and interesting and weird, but I didn't like the fact that they're going back to that well, because I think they need to establish, we haven't had an Avengers movie. You know what I mean? We haven't had a team up movie since these guys were around. It'd be one thing if this was the end of the, I guess this may be the end of the multiverse saga at this point, but it'd be one thing if this was the third or fourth Avengers movie after we'd established a new team, and then we're bringing back the old crew. But this is all along I've been saying I didn't really like the idea, because I think it traps Marvel into staying with the same crew forever. But my one saving thought was that okay, well, maybe it's just RDJ is coming back to give it some sauce, to give it some everyone's going to be get their butts in the seats for RDJ's Doom. and then they can finally build out the new team. We finally pass the torch. I get a real passing the torch, because they really didn't do that in Endgame. They just sort of like, it was about the core 6, 7, 8 Avengers, and they really didn't build up a new team in that one. Yeah. So, or like even give any screen time to much of anybody. So I'm fearful that bringing Chris Evans in is a sign that they're like going to give even more screen time to the same original 6 Avengers, which, you know, I mean, if these guys are there, Thor and Banner are still alive. Like, they're going to show up too. There's going to be another scene where we get the 4 of them together. Like,
Clint's
and
around.
If they do, Clint's around. If they do all of that, it's how much time are they going to have to build the new Avengers?
Yeah. If it's an alternate version, then, you know, we could also get an alternate Black Widow. You know,
for sure.
It's entirely possible to bring all of them back and just completely undercut all of that progress that we've made with new characters. Like, you can't there's no takebacks on handing the torch off. You just have to give it and watch them go. And it's like taking the training wheels off the kid. You know, you let them go, they'll wobble a little bit, but they're going to figure it out.
I will say this. I said this on, I don't know if you guys listened to my MCU cast at all yet, but the one thing that this could be, and I'm sorry for thinking of it, because it's a bummer. We need a reason to hate Doom. If he's RDJ, he is going to have like all that charisma, and we're going to want to like give him all the love we have for Tony, and we need a reason to hate him. Him stepping into our universe and like squaring off against Old Man Cap, and Old Man Cap doing a last stand against Doom and then dying at his hands would be like, oh, I hate this guy. Like, I actually hate this character. That would be a real transformation for whether it's the Tony Stark character or some other version of RDJ. Like, I would hate that character at that point.
Yeah.
Sure, well, you're going to hate this even more, because my mind did kind of go to a similar place, but I was thinking about how, you know, we've learned that anchor beings are going to be some kind of through line. Like Kevin Feige said, I'm glad that you honed in on the term anchor being. So I'm thinking, like, what if Doom is, you know, categorically hunting down anchor beings, or conversely, he's trying to assemble a team of anchor beings for his battle world?
Ooh. I think that's very possible, and I hate it. You're right. I hate it so much. You would. You're so right.
It all comes down to execution. I don't like the idea on the surface myself, but if it's executed properly, I could be down for it.
Yeah, the fact that he said that's something that we really want to, and like way back in WandaVision, they have that whole Nexus commercial for that medicine, and like that was really hinting at the idea of Nexus beings. I think they say Nexus beings in that.
I think the show uses the term Nexus events.
No, Nexus events was from Loki.
I believe. You're right.
I believe they say Nexus beings in WandaVision. So that's why
you might be right.
Okay. I think that may have been an early version of what later became anchor beings. I'm not sure, but to me that seems possible, because we reworked a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's weird, and also that character. We've talked about it before, but I'm pretty sure that character might have been originally meant to be Doctor Strange, but they couldn't get him. The doctor that gives her the medication or whatever.
I do remember
he was supposed to be in the show,
that.
And that was one of the places we all thought he might have shown up. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know, guys. I'm really excited, but fearful. I'm so fearful.
Same.
Let us know what you think. We'll be talking about this for a while, I'm sure. This will be a topic of conversation ongoing here on the cast, and on the MCU cast. So, you know, we'll be over there talking about this even more in depth, because it's gonna be crazy. You just watched a clip from Multiverse News. If you liked it, go to our channel. We got a whole episode that it comes from. So go check that out, and hit the like and subscribe, and we got lots of clips you'll enjoy, but also full hour-long episodes of Multiverse News with lots of things that don't even make it to clips. So check us out.
You stay clippy.